I've played a lot of Football Manager this year, and now that the next game isn't coming out for a long while, I imagine I'll be playing plenty more, and you guys might be the same. But if you're bored of signing the same players over and over again, don't worry, today I'm picking out 10 people that you likely haven't signed that I've used and had great success with. I think all of these guys are great signings in Football Manager, some for the really good teams, some for teams lower down in the table, so hopefully there'll be something for your save. But I'm not going to keep you waiting around, let's get right into it, and in no particular order, one player that I think is a great signing this year that many people wouldn't have gone for is a 20-year-old Colombian international fullback Andrés Salazar. He plays for Atlético Nacional out in the Colombian divisions, and I used him myself in a rebuild with Hearts where he went on to be one of the best defenders in Scotland and was a regular in European competition and quite a legend really for Colombia with plenty of appearances. Now just to let you know, I'm using currently the standard version of Football Manager after the winter update, but if you do have some kind of updated database on, some of these guys might have moved clubs, but they will still be great options. Like Salazar, for example, will start out on loan at Hearts, but does eventually go back to his club, so obviously bear that in mind for this video, but he is someone that can be signed for a bargain fee here of only £1 million. He's got potential to get better. In fact, in my Hearts save after a few years, he looked far better than this, but even saying that, to get this caliber of player for 1 million, a very good fullback option who could grow into a top level talent, I think it's a great signing and one that I just had to suggest after some of my recent saves. Now, bear in mind, it says he's a 2-star player. Ignore that. I'm playing as Chelsea here. So these guys are being compared to your Enzo Fernandez's, your Caicedos, your Cole Palmers. So obviously take it all with a pinch of salt when it comes to the star ratings. But in terms of young fullbacks available for cheap, they're not always easy to come by. But Salazar is a great option. And I've got 10 players that we're going to go through today. That was one, but we've still got another 9 to go through. If you do go on to enjoy this video, please go ahead and smash that like button for me. And subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't yet done so. We are closing in on 200k subs. It's so close now, and it would be awesome if you guys could help us reach that milestone. So thank you, and let me know down below your favourite players that you've signed this year, because these are some of my favourites. They're not all of my favourites. I've made videos before about some of those, but right now, these are the guys that I think you guys should be signing. Another player I've had great success with recently is Jonathan Panzo, who featured in a rebuild that I did with Plymouth. And by the way, if you want to see any of those rebuilds, you can find them on my channel, linked in the description of this video. Watch these 10 players first, of course, before you go and check that out. But you will see in that save, Panzo was a regular for us in the Premier League. Now, looking at him, he's probably a little bit too high in evaluation for what you might want on loan at Standard Liège from Nottingham Forest. But what I always see happen in my saves is he will get let go by Forest. He won't be considered good enough for a Premier League side. So if you're playing in the Championship of England, for example, or say low-level Premier League, and you see Jonathan Panzo become free in 2025, the former Chelsea man is a very good option. I've seen him go on to be an Ivorian international at the highest level. Physically, he's very well rounded, he's left-footed, decent with the ball at his feet, can defend well, and is just a great value option who can also cover at left-back. And at 22, he's not exactly the oldest either. Like I say, in my saves, I've picked him up on a free transfer on many an occasion, so keep an eye on him. Either do that, get him on a free, or if he looks good to you, he might be worth putting in a cheeky bid for Forest. So I don't think they're really going to want to hang on to him. He's not quite at their level. We'll continue with the theme of defenders though, with Alejandro Francés of Real Zaragoza, a Spanish defender who you can pick up for £4 million or so. He's probably the most well known in this whole video because he has been a gem in FM for a number of years now. A bargain fee for a player that can feature at both right back and centre back, good with the ball at his feet as well, good with either foot, strong defensively with nice physical attributes and well-rounded mentals too. He's only 5'11", so if you can forgive that, you should be okay. He does have decent jumping reach though and good heading, so it won't affect him that much, but you have to be quick. He's wanted by Barca in this save. I found him in a recent save at Girona. I don't know whether he's moved there in real life and that's why he was there already, or whether they bought him from Zaragoza, but either way, he is someone that is usually pretty readily available. Even a few years in, I've never seen him valued at more than 10 million, but every time I sign him, he goes on to be a 30-40 million pound player in absolutely no time. A very good option. I've seen him be a Spanish international too, and I think if you can pick up a gem like this for a low-level Premier League team, let's say you were Bournemouth and you picked up Francis, he would fit in there perfectly. and help grow your club as well. Because at 20, he's got a lot of room to get better. He's been a wonderkid in FM in years gone by, so there clearly is potential there. And if you can get that out of him for only a couple £1,000,000, you have got yourself a bargain. Speaking of bargains, there is definitely one here in the Senegalese 24-year-old playing for FC Metz out in France by the name of Cheikh Sabaly. Now, I've only used him one time. I don't know if that's how his name's pronounced at all, to be honest with you, but I gave it my best shot. But when I used him, he was a great option to pick up. Only a couple £1,000,000. If you're at, say, a high-level championship, I'm going to keep using England as the example. Of course, this applies if you're in the Spanish leagues, the German leagues, whatever. It's all relative. But if you were, say, in the English divisions and you sign this guy for, I don't know, Sunderland in the championship for a couple £1,000,000, I mean, you're getting a very good player here who could easily help guide your side's promotion. And then when it comes to the Premier League, I think he'd suit it pretty nicely. He's got some well-rounded attributes, can play on either wing. If you're after an inside forward on the left, I think he'd be perfect. That's where I'd use him with his strong right foot, even though he is natural on the right-hand side. Only if you're playing him as a winger, really, I would put him there. Realistically, for me, I think his best place is on the left, cutting in, creating chances. He's got a decent pass on him, works hard, good dribbling, crossing, finishing, and he's, of course, got a little bit of pace and acceleration to him as well. Only 5'6", so he's not on the tallest side. Not going to be scoring any back post headers, but hopefully causing a lot of problems for the opposition defence. As will one of the most expensive players in this list, Boulaye Dia. He plays for Salernitana out in the Italian divisions. He's a Senegalese international, 26 years of age, and he is a brilliant striker. The former Villarreal man is perfect for this year's engine in Football Manager. Well-rounded physical attributes, but combined with a good set of pace as well and acceleration. He is going to be quick off the mark. It's going to help him massively in the in-game engine. A nice player trait as well, which will definitely benefit him. And I know there's probably other strikers that you might go for, but for 10 or 15 million quid, let's say you paid a maximum 15 million, this for me is a mid-level Premier League striker. If you were, say, a Crystal Palace, if you were a Fulham, he would walk in and be your starting striker. Maybe Mateta might have something to say about that, but in FM terms, this guy's great. 15 finishing, 15 dribbling, 15 passing, 14 technique, 14 first touch. What a forward option he is. Great mentally as well, determined, and probably not quite in his prime just yet. So to be able to get him for under 20 million quid, a striker of this calibre, is an unbelievable bit of business. Back to defenders now though, and Alex Valle is the next person I'm going to look at. A Spanish 19-year-old who plays for Barcelona, is out on loan at Levante, but I think in real life is another one of those where he has now moved. Is it Celtic he maybe went on loan to? Or Como? I don't know. He had some kind of transfer thing going on where he was going to join one of those. I don't know who he eventually ended up with, but when I've used him in Football Manager, he's been a great option because it tends to be wherever he will be in your save, he'll end up back at Barcelona. He won't get given the opportunity. Barca will eventually have him on the transfer list because he's obviously not Barcelona quality just yet, and then you can get a great defender. When I bought him, he cost me 3 million quid for what was, in one season, a Premier League high-level left wing-back. He's got potential, he's got starting ability, he's got the pace, the natural fitness, the acceleration, some nice player traits as well. Good defensively, but very good going forward with 12 crossing. He's got good dribbling too, great passing and vision. He is someone that if you're looking for a forward-thinking fullback, a modern-day one, Alex Valle will be the man for you. I think in real life, Barcelona rate him quite highly, but in Football Manager, it doesn't tend to work out like that, and you can usually net yourself a great deal. Speaking of great deals, this is one of my favourites currently in Football Manager to make. We always know about Severhouse F. Naipan signing him and watched him become a superstar, Esteval before he joined Chelsea and whatnot, but one person that I wasn't really signing for ages in Football Manager, but now I feel like I have to get in every save I do, is Luka Vušković of Dinamo Zagreb. He starts out his season out on loan at Dubrava, but then ends up back at Zagreb, where he will play fairly regularly, and I mean, he's apparently 17. I'm not quite sure his picture is that of a 17-year-old, but alas, I don't really know exactly what he looks like. He can play central midfield and attacking midfield, and when I tell you this guy can go to the very top, I mean this is a Manchester City, Real Madrid quality midfielder. I really think that on his best day. I signed him for a couple million quid in a recent rebuild that I did, only to watch him become an unbelievable midfield talent. He developed his technical game massively when I had signed him a couple seasons in, so by the age of 20, he had 15, 16s for passing, vision, technique, dribbling, first touch. Granted, he was likely on the higher end of his potential, but even on the lower end, you are getting a great bargain here for only a couple million quid. He was also good defensively as well, actually became a very well-rounded midfield option, and he's been one of my favourite players to sign since. An absolutely brilliant bargain. If he was anywhere else, he'd be valued way higher, but because he's with Zagreb out in Croatia, the valuation isn't the highest, and genuinely, easy to make the Croatian comparison, but when I saw him at full growth, it was like Luka Modric had been reborn and was available for a couple million quid. If you want someone that's quality straight away though in that midfield area, then Daniel Bragança has been a brilliant bargain in FM for the last couple of years, and it still is the case in FM24. You can go ahead to Sporting Club de Portugal, give them 2 million quid maybe, and I just don't understand how you can get this quality of player for that price. It's unbelievable what you get. A midfielder that dictates the play, plays 1-2s, and will be that metronome at the heartbeat of your team with great passing ability, good defensively too, but realistically, he is going to be the chief creator. Everything will go through him, and I still think he can play at an elite level. I don't know why he is so cheap out in the Portuguese leagues, but a couple million quid, no wonder Al Nassr are interested. Mentally, an absolute monster as well, everything that you'd want. And he's only 24 here as well, so even if there are issues to his game, you could iron them out. He's not yet in the prime of his career, and I think represents great value for money in terms of midfielders in this year's game. But now we're down to our final 2 players out of the 10 that I've picked out today, so if you have enjoyed it so far, make sure you smash that like button for us. It really does help the videos in terms of pushing them here on YouTube. It's the last time I'll ask you, and if you can drop your favourites down below, make sure you do so, because we'll make a follow-up talking about your guys' picks in the comments, and hopefully give people even more ideas on who to sign. But I'm moving into 2 of the more expensive players in today's video. The first one is another Colombian player, 25-year-old international Jhon Arias, who you can find at Fluminense out in Brazil. He's been there for a few seasons now, having signed from the Colombian divisions for only a small fee of 400k. Now you're looking at about 10 million for a versatile midfielder heading towards the prime of his career, who's good with both feet and can play anywhere alongside that front line, whether it's on the left, on the right, or where I prefer him the most, through the middle. He's a brilliant creator with good goal scoring ability, can hit a long shot, a set piece as well, a long throw if you want him to, and he's got great penalties too. Mentals, absolutely brilliant in all aspects of his game, and he's just not someone that people really go for. I guess because he's in Brazil, a lot of people's scouts might not be out there, they might not recognise him, but again, this is like a high-level Premier League player in my opinion. Maybe not quite Man City, Arsenal kind of level, but if you were, say, I don't know, a Nottingham Forest, we used them as an example earlier, trying to push up into a European position, you can't tell me this wouldn't be a fantastic option to have in your attacking lineups. But my final player is an elite midfielder of the highest caliber, Andrea Colpani of Monza out in the Italian leagues. He's an attacking midfielder who can also play central midfield and some other positions, but realistically, it's in these areas where you want him. He's decent when it comes to the defensive side of the game, but technically, he is an absolute whiz with a wand of a left foot. He's 6'1", likes to curl the ball, and he's just so well-rounded in all attribute areas, physicals, mentals, and technicals. He doesn't really stand out in one particular thing, but he is good at everything. The set pieces, goal scoring with 14 finishing, vision 14, work rate 15. He's going to work hard for your team, and I think he'd be a perfect shadow striker at the top of that midfield position. Again, £50 million or so. It's a bargain for what you're getting. This is a Serie A elite talent, could come to the Premier League easily and say start for, I don't know, a Newcastle, for example. That's how good I think this guy is, and he's available for a bargain. No one talks about him. I don't know why. A good set of hair on him as well, if that's going to sell any of you on signing the player, but he is an absolute gem and one that I've really enjoyed using recently, and I'm definitely going to suggest him as probably my favourite in this video for you guys to go and sign. But there we go. There are 10 players that you should sign in your save that you might not have heard of before, or at least you might not have given a go. Make sure you do so. They're all absolutely unreal in Football Manager 24. But thank you for all the support, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.